welcome everyone. I appreciate your attendance here. Is everybody wanting to be at the Alternative Energy at Wastewater Plant presentation? Nobody looks too surprised. I don't even have a PowerPoint presentation. I wanted to have a conversation and start discussing this. Energy consumption at wastewater plants is a huge deal, as you all know. And so we wanted to take a look at alternative energy sources and energy conservation, ways in which you can look at your facility, and it's primarily referenced as wastewater facilities. Is Chad Kolstad here from Department of Health? He's my counterpart. He didn't take me up on my offer to give him an opportunity to present today on water facilities and renewable energy, so if you could all give him grief about that, I'd appreciate it. But I think that many of the ideas that we're talking about are, they can apply to different types of facilities and different types of municipal buildings. And my main role at the agency is on the Clean Water Revolving Fund Coordinator. That's a funding program that we use that is based on below market rate interest loans. We've got $3 billion. We rotate the loans around to the cities, same with drinking water. How many people have ever been fortunate enough to receive a loan through our program? You're not going to get penalized here. There we go, we get a couple. We fund anywhere between 50 and 80 projects a year, ranging from 100 to 250 million. So there's a lot of work going on. There's certain responsibilities that are required as part of that approval process. You have to go through getting on a list, you have to present planning documents, you got to present biddable plans and specs, and in the end we can help by buying down the interest rate to get you a better deal. A $1 million project financed with our interest rate is $800,000. So there's a savings there, but with savings there's oftentimes requirements as well, and so there are requirements to do with federal cross-cutter, such as environmental review. You got to get your permit and all of that. An unspoken requirement is that you all be energy misers as well, that you don't have a wasteful facility, that you're not overspending on your energy budget. And so our scoring system allows you to add energy related projects, whether it be updating lighting fixtures like we did in the Metro facility. They have tens and tens of miles of tunnels that are lit 24/7. And so we went in and provided a small amount of grant money and loan money to change out the outdated fluorescent bulbs with new, more energy efficient. That facility had a payback because there were grants from our program and from Xcel Energy. They had a payback of about 5 years on the energy project. 5-year payback, is that a good number, everybody? That's a pretty good number. Well, the Met Council, if it would have been much more than 5, I'm not sure that would have worked well in their economies of scale. They may have things that could provide a better rate of return elsewhere, and that's part of the challenge that I bring today as the PCA, is to say there are things that can be done. It'll add to your workload. If you're going to add something to the project, that's more work for you, but it's for a good reason. The federal government also has created a Green Project Reserve, and that is a 25% grant for energy efficient projects. So if you're replacing a pump with another pump and you get a 20% energy reduction with the new pump, that qualifies as Green Project Reserve in the energy efficient. Another thing that's categorical, or it applies broadly, is any sort of renewable energy. So if you did want to, say, add a wind turbine or solar photovoltaic cells, that would be an eligible cost, and there'd be a 25% grant there. That's been available for 6 years. We've had nobody come forward with any sort of renewable energy projects other than biogas recovery. So our green project, energy projects so far have been energy conservation or biogas recovery. Nobody's come forward with a 25% grant for solar panels or turbine. Is that not enough of an incentive? It probably isn't. And we're going to hear from Lisa Daniels with Windustry, that is an industry trade group that works on trying to foster more renewable energy approaches in the state. And when I've been working with her over the past year, I was able to say I'm proud that in Minnesota we have a grant program, but we're just not getting the demand. And so I think that can come from plant operators. You have a tremendous opportunity to bring in new ideas and bring them up the chain, or it can come from on high and down. And so I think it's pretty clear that energy is a major driver. It's only going to become more important. I spent some time at the Capitol when the legislature's in session. And last year there was a serious consideration given to bills that would look at requiring solar panels on all public facilities. Well, that was a pretty big mission, and it didn't gain approval through the legislative process, but that doesn't stop people, legislators or the public, saying those wastewater plants and water plants, you know, are they big energy hogs? Are they something that is being wasteful? Is there anything that can be done? Pam Meyer is going to be presenting some online resources so you can actually start to break down your energy profile for your facility. You can break it down into smaller parts or in a holistic approach, and it really will be watching where the energy is being used. And your technology, which type of technology you have is different, as we all know. So we have funding programs. We're working hard to try to get projects that make sense to come in, and we're hoping that'll change over the near run. So in the spirit of conversation, kind of giving you an overview of some of the issues that I wanted to address. Anybody have anything from the audience that you'd like to bring up or discuss, or statements made or proclaimed? Okay, well, we'll move along then. Lisa Daniels from Windustry, which she'll describe better specifically what it is. She's the executive director for the last 15 years. And we thank you for coming here up to St. Cloud at our gathering. This is our first time in front of a group of wastewater operators, so give it to her, would you?
Well, I'm happy to be here on this almost spring day out there. Okay, so how do I go? Do I have a...
Hidden over here.
Oh, yeah.
This should work.
Beautiful. I just have to figure out which way is forward. Okay. Who is Windustry? Windustry is a small nonprofit, but we work nationally on wind energy and renewable energy. We have just made a decision on our board about a year ago to work on all kinds of distributed generation, not just wind, but we're not changing our name just yet. So, but I just wanted to correct, Bill introduced me as a industry organization. We are not an industry organization. We are a nonprofit, and we really work hard to put together information so that people who don't know about wind energy or renewable energy can learn about it. So we spent a whole lot of our time working with rural landowners and farmers, ranchers, all through Minnesota, in getting them involved with wind energy, because wind energy was going to, you know, it needs high, clear land to have a good wind project, okay? And that's usually farmland or rural land. So we have worked quite a bit in rural Minnesota and the rural Midwest, and actually throughout the U.S. with landowners and rural communities about wind energy. We have an extensive website, and we work on state and national policy to increase the opportunities for locally owned renewable energy. And that's really where we're coming from. So we're coming from the local perspective about getting more of this stuff in the ground and keeping the economic benefits as local as possible. What is community renewable energy? It's simple, it's flexible, it's any size project. Right now, this is a 2-turbine wind project right here, but it could be 10 turbines, it could be 100 panels of solar. It can be anything you want it to be. Some of the key goals of it is local investment, local ownership, local control, optimizing the local benefits. And quite often, there is quite a bit of overlap between community renewable energy and distributed energy. Distributed energy is something, it really is more technical, and it usually fits on the local grid, the local electrical grid, okay? So if you've seen the wind farms where there's 100 wind turbines or 200 wind turbines all in one large array, that's usually a large wind farm, and it takes a transmission line to get the power from where it's being produced to a population center. The kind of projects we're talking about today are distributed, so it's using the existing or slightly upgraded distribution grid to get the power that you produce on your smaller system to where you want to use it. Either that or it's produced right on site. Okay, there's plenty of benefits for community renewable energy. There's economic benefits, there's environmental benefits, same as with all renewable energy, that it produces clean electricity, no pressure on water supply, protects natural resources, often compatible with land use, and addresses global climate change. Societal benefits are, it works towards providing energy independence and national energy security, creates a new cash crop, and it's local action on a global issue. And I just wanted to point out that there are a few studies that have been done that show that the benefits for the locally owned projects or the local oriented projects are delivering more economic benefits to the local areas. Some of the studies that have been done are by the University of Minnesota Morris, the National Renewable Energy Lab, and the U.S. Department of Energy. Okay, we have all kinds of case studies on our website, and we've been working with all kinds of people to put these projects together, from farmers and local investors to municipalities and municipal utilities, rural electric co-ops, schools of all kinds, private colleges, public universities, tribal communities. The one thing we haven't really worked on, we haven't worked at all with wastewater treatment facilities. And that's where the potential for many more comes right in. I think this is a sector that has been sort of latent in its renewable energy development, at least in Minnesota. So I'm hoping we can get more people interested in it. Wastewater and distributed renewable energy is a good match. Now, this is from my perspective, and I'm willing to be corrected on any of this. We see that these facilities are using energy 24/7. So it almost doesn't really matter when you produce the electricity, it can be used. That they're high energy users. Quite often, it appears to me that the wastewater and the water facilities are almost the highest energy user that a municipality or a community has. Also, that usually these are sited away from densely populated neighborhoods. That's also a plus. And that we see that, historically, moving water and storage of water is something that renewable energy has a long history of doing, especially with even just settling the plains. Wind turbines were critical in that perspective. So we're just seeing that there's a lot here in common to help make it a good match. So I'm going to dive right in with a case example just over the border in Wisconsin, Cascade Village. It's a relatively small wastewater treatment facility, a natural pond facility. It serves 700 customers in and near the village. They installed 2 100 kilowatt wind machines. Okay, now these are considered, 100 kilowatts is the top end of the scale in the small category, okay? So this is where we are right here. So this is 2 of the largest of the small machines. And the average electrical savings that they are getting right now, benefiting, is 30 grand a year. Those savings are approximately 10% of the annual budget of this village. So it's making a difference. Here you can see, this is just the land layout. And you can see that the wastewater facility was a little bit outside of the village, plenty of space out there. And this is where they determined to put their 2 wind turbines. The village put together a business model. Now they spent, they just didn't do this on a whim. They spent a couple of years looking at the options, looking at different funding sources and how they could figure this out. The village invested $500,000 of their own money. They got a grant from Wisconsin Focus on Energy, and they also got an investment from the local utility, the utility that serves that district. So the village share comes to them from selling the excess power. So they're producing way more than they need, and they sell the excess on the grid to We Energies. And that's what's helping them pay off their $500,000 investment. And also they're getting renewable, the RECs here stands for Renewable Energy Credits. And that's the green attributes of the power that they're producing. It's what makes this power a different value than the power that comes from a coal-burning power plant, for instance. And it made financial sense for this. Their payback comes in 12.5 years. No increase in cost for the taxpayers, the way they put that business model together. The turbines produce 110% of the plant demand, and that extra 10% is what they are selling back to the utility. And they really have set their sights on more renewable energy for this village. Right now, they're the first in the state to be. They're the first in the state to be 100% renewable energy for their wastewater treatment facility, and they're proud of that. And I just thought a winter photo was appropriate because we're having such a lovely winter here. Okay, now this is going to the very other end of the spectrum of what renewables can do for a wastewater treatment facility. This is Palmville Water District in Southern California. Very, very large system, okay? But you can see that this whole facility has made an effort to go renewable energy in a lot of different ways. They have hydroelectric, they have a digester, they have solar, they have wind. And this is an old slide, so I'm positive they have more of all of this in place now. This slide, I made this slide probably 5 years ago. So this is, you know, the state of their system, what their system was about 5 years ago. But you can see that it makes sense for either a small system or a large system. There's other large systems that have put these projects in place. This is Atlantic City, New Jersey. Talk about densely populated area. So this is 5 commercial scale machines. These are manufactured by GE. They are powering this wastewater treatment facility, and there's all kinds of highways that people see these things every day on their commute, twice a day, when they're going and coming from work. So this, you know, these are just, I'm just sharing all kinds of examples here. Also, looking to see the largest, one of the larger wastewater plants in Minnesota. We're looking to see that they're going to be doing something this fall, this summer. They've got their business model in place, and they're waiting for a few more pieces to come into place. And they're going to be putting 1.5 megawatts of solar at this facility. Their business model is innovative in that they're using a third-party operator to come in, build the system, operate it, and maintain it. They are putting, the Blue Lake system is putting zero money down. They are selling the power. Okay, so the third-party system that is going to be owning and operating the solar panels is going to be selling the electricity at a slight discount to the wastewater treatment facility, sort of in exchange for leasing. You know, it's kind of in exchange because they're not paying much to lease the land or the space to put the solar panels in. So, and this is going to be, I believe, the first solar at a wastewater treatment facility in Minnesota. There's a lot of public policy pieces that are still coming together about this. They're not sure about what the solar renewable energy credits are going to be priced at. And they're also going to be receiving a solar capacity credit that goes against their standby charges. So that's going to help make the economics of this project work. I will say that they applied for a Green Reserve Program grant or financing, and they were rejected because their plant was too new, it didn't qualify. And Bill can give you more details about that, but...
Evil will return in a little bit.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to give you a listing. This is happening all over the place, okay? It's happening in Texas, Illinois, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Maryland, Canada, Boston Harbor, New Jersey. I shared with you the New Jersey one, but I will say Boston, it's in Boston Harbor as well, okay? So if all of these places can do it, Minnesota can do it. I know we can. And Minnesota is a leader in renewable energy. So here's some more places where it's all happening. Barnstable, Massachusetts, that's a small town on the Cape. Richland, New York, upstate New York. Lynn, Massachusetts, it's kind of a middle-sized town. Middlesex County, New Jersey. Hamilton, New Jersey. Adair, Iowa, small town. So, you size your project for your community, and it doesn't matter. We have just learned it doesn't matter what size community you have, you can still do it, whether it's really big or really little. Renewable energy systems are modular. Size your system for your energy load. Natural resources, use the natural resources of the site. If you have good wind, use the wind. If you don't have a good, robust wind resource, then use the sun, or biodigesters, or any of that. Size the system for your budget. Size the system for the community goals. I will say that there are a growing number of communities in Minnesota that are selecting for themselves voluntarily to be Minnesota Green Step cities. Use this to your advantage as a place to begin a discussion. If you're working in a community that has agreed to be a Green Step city for whatever reasons they are, then use that as partial justification for going down this road. It's a big deal. And it can help the city achieve its goals. You could be the hero. Okay, turbines. Turbines come in all different sizes. We have the very small way over there to the right on the far side. And we just put a little pickup truck right next to each turbine just so you can try to get the scale. But, you know, there's the small scale, there's mid-size, the two in the middle are, I'd say, the Vestas V47 600 kilowatt, that is considered a mid-sized machine right now. And I would say that the GE and the Vestas here are both considered commercial scale large. This is just to show you there are many different sizes, and you can choose one that's right for your wind resource and one that's right for your goals of your community and for your energy needs. So both wind and solar are modular. Solar is modular in the respect you just keep adding panels until you get to the point where you want to be. So in closing, wastewater and renewable energy have a lot of things that make economic sense. The resource for energy production is a good match. Minnesota is a leader right now in terms of renewable energy production and in terms of our renewable energy policy in this state and carbon reduction goals. So there are many resources for putting projects together. Technical assistance, assistance from the MPCA in terms of financing, but it all starts with you. And that's all I have for now. And are we going to do questions now or at the end?
We could. We actually have to set up the next presentation. So are there any questions?
Any news in northern Minnesota, in the paper, there was an article about the city of Red Lake Falls going with renewable energy in California.
There's a question up front here about Red Lake Falls going with a renewable energy company. And I have a feeling that might be a community solar garden. Is that what you're thinking? A California company? Or Colorado company?
Well, they just said something out in California was invested in something.
Oh, yeah. Well, that third-party business model that I talked about could be what they're using. Now, you know, and that can be used by, you know, I will say Wright Hennepin County or Wright Hennepin Rural Electric Co-op use that third-party business model for a community solar garden in Rockford, Minnesota. So we're going to be seeing more solar and more business models coming out, emerging for renewable energy on a local level. And there's more incentives and there's more policy always to help it all come together a little bit smoother and a little bit easier.
You said that they get a slight discount. That seems like they'd want more than a slight discount.
Why would they want more than just a slight
Yeah,
discount?
wouldn't they want most of it, most of their electricity to be free instead of just a slight discount on their bill? Is
Okay.
that what you're saying? That the third party sells the electricity back to them?
Yeah.
And it's just
So-
a slight discount?
The slight discount is, okay, so we're sitting here in this building and the roof is empty. Right now it's empty and we're not buying we're not producing any electricity, we're buying it all from Xcel Energy. Okay, so then somebody comes in, they put all the panels on the roof, and this building buys the electricity from the producer of the panels on the roof first, and then they fill in with what's coming from the utility.
Oh, I thought they were also distributing that
So-
to the community. at
so-
large, too.
So they're buying from their roof first at a slightly discounted rate from what they get from the utility, because they're they're giving the power producer their roof space.
Right.
Okay, so that's the business model. Sort of,
I do understand that.
that's really summary. So it is just a slight discount, because they do have to put the system in, maintain it, and operate it. And don't forget, we who live in this room have paid nothing to put those solar panels on that roof. Okay? Any other questions?
You mentioned in your case study of Cascade that there wasn't any impact to the city as far as taxes, but it was a cost roughly $500,000 from the city. What kind of funding mechanisms they have in place for that it didn't impact the residents?
I think they use a reserve fund that they had, and they're just paying back the reserve fund. I can't be sure. That's a good question. But that's what I gathered from it.
Okay.
In the one case study, you said they have like a 12.5-year payback. What is the life expectancy of a wind turbine?
The wind turbines are 20 to 30-year life expectancy, life cycle. Usually, usually you want to get it paid for as soon as you can, and then the rest is just operation and maintenance charges.
So that sounds like the life cycle of a wastewater plant too, 20 to 30 years. So they seem to have another connection where they could fit together. Payback in half the life of the asset means the other half of the life, you're profiting.
It's pure gravy. Any other questions? Are we ready to go, or should we do more questions?
We're struggling with the connection because she actually had tools to show you. You have jokes instead?
No. But I can talk with the best of them, so.
Okay.
He's connected now, but I can go ahead and start without that.
Please do. Introduce yourself.
I will.
Well, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Pam Meyer. I'm with Minnesota Pollution Control Agency as well. I wouldn't put myself in the regulatory category. I'm an engineer out of the Mankato office. I recently returned to the PC after 2 years with the DNR, where I learned all kinds of things, which you'll see in this. I likely won't take up all your time till 3 o'clock unless you have some questions for me. You heard from...
It's 2:50 anyways.
Oh, we're good. You heard from Bill already, you heard from Lisa, all of these tools that are available, the funding that's available, who in here is a wastewater or water treatment plant operator? So the really good part of this room is, okay, A, how do you know what to look at in your plant? How do you know where you might be able to save some money or do some cost savings? And how many of you go in front of your council and ask for something and they write the check? Right. I would have to throw this out there that I am a council member for a city of 600 people. I know what you're struggling with. I know our utilities guidance sits in front of us, and being in the job I am, I know the importance of it, and know the money's not there. Which is why it's important to listen to Bill and Lisa. There's programs available out there. If you talk to your PC engineer, talk to Bill, we know that if you go talk to your council and you say, I need $350,000 for this, it's going to pay us back in 5 years. The capital isn't there. A lot of cities have dipped into their reserves already, especially over the last few years with the drop in assistance. So it's important to look at the programs there. It's also important to do some in-house looking, which is what I'm going to try to talk to you guys about, just more of a self-audit program. How many of you are from towns under 10,000 population? Almost all of you. But there's, obviously the ones over 10. So your resources are, they start to dwindle. Because, like I said, our town is 600 people. You call the lawyer and your budget's gone to hell because your lawyer, your budget was only $8,000 for the year, and that one phone call now is $500. If you're not planning on it, it's not in your budget for the next year. So what can you as an operator do to go above and beyond and really get that pat on the back from a mayor, right? Well, this first tool, did you log me in?
I did.
You did, okay. It's Energy Star Portfolio Manager. It's free, big one right there. How many of you actually do track your energy usage at your plant, just to compare it from year to year, kind of like keeping track of mileage on your car? You do any tracking of it? There's a few. It's a really good tool for the same reason that it's great to keep, mileage. When I grew up, here's my joke. My joke, because that's what my dad made us do. But we had a checkbook balancer in our glove department. Every time you filled up with gas, you wrote down how much gas you put in, how many gallons it was, what the price was per gallon. The last column was what your mileage was. My dad was a mechanic. You knew if that mileage number started going down, something's wrong with the vehicle. Doing the same with your energy usage, looking at your bills, you'll maybe notice the dollar difference, but if it's a slow progression, you're not going to notice. Maybe you've got something big in your plant. How many of you have portions of your plant that are more than 20 years old? There's a lot out there because so many of our wastewater plants were built during this grant era in the 50s and 60s that they're all reaching a pretty critical point right now where we're seeing a lot of projects come in. So what this is, like I said, it's free. It's a portfolio of your plant. I just made up my initials, wastewater treatment plant, just as one building. Getting to this point is not hard. It's a really intuitive program. Even if you don't use computers a lot, it walks you right through how many buildings do you have. And if you click on those top tabs on reporting, I'm not going to say I'm an expert at this because it would be a lot different if I was entering an actual plant. What this does is it's a free program, and your reporting is something that you can now, we're just going to glaze over all the importing of your, what it accepts is your monthly bills, your monthly energy usage, everything you can get to track your plant, and it'll kick out these great reports. You can take them to your council meetings and show them. This is what we're using for energy. Here's what's going wrong. Here's where we're wasting energy. Things like that. You don't have to start from scratch and do it all from ground zero. If you go back to the tab,
Which tab?
the original one that you're on, my portfolio. Okay, and then click on my wastewater plant, the blue link on the bottom. I thought I was going to have like a computer to just do this myself. Instead, I have to rely on Bill. So.
Not a good thing.
No.
Okay.
So here's my property profile. You guys might recognize the picture. I think it's the Wilmer Wastewater Treatment Plant. This is where it starts you. A little summary of what my plant is. All those tabs on the top. Oh.
I didn't do anything.
Something changed. But okay, just keep
That's bigger.
going.
So,
Oh.
what do you,
Go back to my portfolio.
no,
View profile, there you go, that's where we were. See, really easy,
Okay.
intuitive, easy. But
Okay.
here, okay, these tabs on the top where you have details, meters, goals, design. I played with these a little bit last week. This is missing a lot because I don't have my bills from the energy from Excel and from wherever you guys are getting from. This tool has a lot of power, but this is the screen that once you set up your property, here's what I have. You can put in the details if you want, but it's that meters tab, where you're putting in what your meters are reading every month, so you know your energy usage, you have something to plot, something to just kind of keep an eye on things. I don't know how many you have just one meter for your plant. I'm assuming not, I don't know how many of them do it that way anymore, but a lot of them have multiple meters for different rooms. You have meters at your lift stations, you have meters everywhere. But to keep moving.
Back out, you're doing good. Back
Okay.
out.
Yeah, 'cause there's a bunch of these. This is one. All these links, I don't know how to get them to you guys, but you can Google them too. It's Energy Star Profile. Like I said, it's free. And you only input what, you don't have to have everything in there for it to give you some good feedback. So it's a good tool to know where am I at.
Did I close this out, Pam?
Yes. Close out the whole thing and just go to the next slide.
I think we need that, okay. This one?
Yes, and this, Bill shared this with me. It's University of North Carolina's dashboard, which I would love to see for Minnesota because of what I do for council, because of my job, to be able to compare a lot of these. Should go with that, yep.
That one.
Yep.
This also fits in the realm of asset management or
Okay, get
asset
to that.
preservation.
Okay, get to that next. So this is what North Carolina's done. Can you imagine, okay, if Minnesota, if you could go to a website like this, click in where you're at, say you're in Elk River, and it would bring up, I think you have to,
So do I want to go to a community?
yes,
Okay, do wastewater.
yep. Actually, I can get you the word in,
Put in a year,
the keyword.
keyword.
But it brings up whatever facility you put in, it shows you a dashboard of where you're at for your water rates, your sewer rates, water and sewer combined versus all the other facilities in the state. So how many of you just got through going through with your council and redoing your utility rates, your water and wastewater? And it's a huge pain, isn't it? And because you need to know where you're at because it has to fund itself. I'm on the utilities committee and it's a lot of guesswork in there. And a lot of our questions were, which luckily I could answer a lot of them for the council, was where are we at compared to everyone else in the state? And that has everything to do with, if you're high, you need to start looking at your energy consumption. Where are you spending money where you maybe don't need to be compared to everyone else? And a lot of that can be, what is your plant taking for energy compared to everyone else? So, what I told Bill is, how's North Carolina ahead of us in this, right?
Right. So here's one example that shows the state, what you described.
Right, so you've got your bill comparison, they just put in a general 5,000 gallon a month usage. Your bill comparison for water. From 18 to 44, which city did you put in?
I clicked on Ashby.
Where are we, say 31. Water price, I mean, these are not that off from the numbers I've seen in Minnesota. Cost recovery, depreciation, affordability. So I'm not showing you this to say that you can use it because it's North Carolina, but I would hope that we see this at some point in Minnesota, honestly, because of our push towards energy conservation and, as Bill brought up, asset management.
And I just want to point out, this is our affordability, 1.4% of the median household income. This just happened to be just below that. So the idea is that citizens should pay 1.4% of the median household income to flush the toilet. Another 1.2 for drinking water. So those are our affordability thresholds we work on.
But if these are numbers that you're interested in to bring back to your council, if you want, we have some access to this information ourselves as a city. We've just called around to other towns, but it's a good starting point where you don't need to get on a computer. It's free. Ask your neighbors if you haven't yet. What are you guys charging? What are you paying for energy? What are you using? Get some feel for where you're at. Because Bill touched on this a little bit before on asset management. It's something that I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, but you're going to start seeing some pieces of your permit changing because of we're looking at asset management, which means you as operators, the best way to explain this is if you are out of compliance, limit violations, things like that, and it's because you have not taken care of the components of your wastewater treatment plant, seeing as you have a pump that's 40 years old, did nothing with it, it failed, you have a violation, your C&E staff from the MPCA is going to start looking at your plant as far as asset management. What do you have? What probably needs to be updated? Where do we need to start seeing some improvement? And hand in hand with that, to me, asset management is we can start looking for some energy savings if we're replacing a pump, if we're replacing an aeration system, if we're replacing these old components that are coming in. It's not just good practice to look for energy savings somewhere, but it's fairly likely that it'll become a requirement along with your asset management part of your permit. So it's good for right now for you guys to start thinking about that. Well, parts of my plant are old. You know, it's the same way if you've got your refrigerator in your house that's 40 years old. You know that if you put a new one in, you're going to cost savings in 5 years. It pays for itself. But do you have $1,500 that you want to put towards a new fridge right now and be okay with that and say, yeah, I'm going to save that in 5 years? It's hard. And it's even harder for councils to do that. 7 years.
No, and it's only gonna last 7 years.
Right, that fridge might last 4, right?
Yeah.
Before you come home and everything's rotten, plus it costs you whatever was in it. So this is one more site the Minnesota Department of Commerce has. I'm gonna click on that.
And we only have 3 minutes left.
I always think I'm gonna go fast and then I ramble. So let's go through these last ones really quick. You have the Department of Commerce at the energy site. It's got, we talked about with Lisa there with Industry, clean energy, conservation improvement programs, efficiency, all kinds of tools to help you out if it's something you're interested to start looking at. You can go to the next one. I don't want anybody to miss their next session. You can skip the Massachusetts one. Actually, on here, go to the very last, that one, the top, the second from the top.
This one,
Yeah.
little DNR propaganda.
Little DNR propaganda. I did work in the New Ulm DNR office for 2 years, and during that 2-year period that I worked there, we put in, scroll down, a solar panel. It actually went in before anybody really knew what was going on. I thought we were getting a football stadium. It's huge. But the entire building out there runs on that. They have geothermal, they've got photovoltaic system. It's big, these pictures don't really do it justice. This is the DNR's website. You can see the annual energy estimate, the history, the cost of it, $310,000, which was paid for by bonding money, which probably came out of some of your pockets. And then if you go back to that slide, Phil, the last link is the one that really shows their energy savings on it. And this is public information. It's something that if you're looking at solar
This
energy,
one?
yep. That if you're looking at solar energy, and this is real time, this is actually what's going on in at that office right now as we speak. It's constantly updated. That red line is showing power used. So that
What happened here?
Well, what time was it at? See, if you,
There we go.
it was interesting working in that office because you could watch it as people came into work, about energy used, and also everybody goes to lunch and it dips, and then back through the afternoon. This is great to look at if you're considering doing anything with solar panels, because this is actually, and it's got close to a full year of data now. If you go back to it, there's energy used, energy generated, and that what they sold back. And actually, the DNR has one more site that they tie this back to miles saved. It's a big thing, is we've saved this many miles in carbon emissions with this. So that was my DNR plug. They did some. They've got this at quite a few state parks too. So I'll skip over the rest of them unless you guys have some questions.